Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Manny B Investing in BI, and we're going to take a look at a Paribus blog post from June 24th titled, "When is Code Law?" Coded for Success. Disputes involving DAO's authority limits and negative impacts due to the protocol centralization have caused concern. Paribus will never use funds for rehypothecation and is thoughtfully planning future DAO decisions. We're going to learn more at this link right here. When is code law? I like it. I like it. So hopefully we'll talk about my concerns with the DAOs, their voting, the ability for large groups of token holders to kind of come together and, in my opinion, do some shady dealings to strip other users, kind of like, what our government attempts to do all the time. There's very little protection by the way that it's working right now. And if we're going to develop DAOs to work, we got to allow them to protect people as well and not just serve the majority. So hopefully they've got a plan for that, because that's my big fear with that. So an oft used adage within the blockchain space is that code is law. It's the basis for developing a technology that allows for trustless, permissionless systems that can operate automatically without any human intervention. How important is this concept, and what happens when it goes wrong? Because it's code, it can go wrong just like any other software out there. Stop worshiping this technology. It's all new. It's very, very exciting and has a very positive use case, but it has to be fine-tuned in order for that to be accomplished. Recently, there have been examples of decentralized autonomous organizations voting to change the terms of seed investors' vesting schedules and even upgrade smart contracts on the fly to potentially liquidate whale accounts. It's important, therefore, for our community to understand how these systemic risks and sea changes are likely, if at all, to affect Paribus. Very bad dealings. You don't want to be someone that invests in a project, in a DAO, or takes part in a DAO, and you bring the tokens that you bring, and then other members can team up together to literally steal your stuff, change the code, change the parameters of the DAO, and seize your account and use your account and your money, your capital, this is your stuff, to do other things with it. That is a big, big, big concern for me when it comes to DAO usages, because we've seen that when the markets got slammed, things got crazy, and we witnessed DAOs putting up proposals to take and seize whale wallets and then use the money for the things they wanted to use it for. I don't care what's fair in the people's opinions. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. If you're going to steal someone's stuff, that's bad. I don't care what the reason is. I don't care if you're hungry. I don't care if it's the only way to save the protocol. We are learned in this world as a people not to take things that don't belong to us. And I've noticed some DAOs do just that. For Paribus, there's no mechanism to withhold user funds other than freezing the entire platform, which would only occur in the event of a hack or a system exploit. This emergency stop is very necessary for the worst case scenario, but would never be used to limit or restrict withdrawals alone. That's what they tell us, but they do have the power to do that. Not saying that they would use it in an evil manner. I'm just saying that programmatically, it's possible. All right, now you have a central stop or break this in an emergency to stop it. Each liquidity pool attracts funds through a dynamic annual percentage yield, or APY, which increases with demand. Our smart contract locks funds specifically to that liquidity pool within Paribus and keeps them securely on the platform. As Dennis, our CEO, explains, in no way will the funds that are locked in Paribus contracts be used to leverage and generate returns. This is a protocol risk that we will not have any issue with. The funds will not be able to be used for rehypothecation. This increases the safety of our platform and ensures a sustainable and dynamic return. So what the heck is rehypothecation? Rehypothecation is a very simple maneuver in securities world. So basically what happens is this happens all the time. Say you go to the bank to buy a house and you buy that house. You buy a house that cost, I don't know, let's say it cost $250,000. You take out a loan and you start paying that house. You pay for it every month. And you're doing your job, you're doing your thing, and you're adding on to it your payments, and you're getting your initial money back. So you're paying down the house. That's your goal, is to pay that house down as quickly as possible so that you can pass it on to your children or whatever. The house grows in its value. It's worth $500,000, and you're still paying on it. And then the lender goes out and says, man, I want to partake in buying Bitcoin because the price is really low. So they go out and they say, hey, I want to buy some Bitcoin, but we don't have any collateral. Hey, but we do have this guy, this family that's paying off this $250,000 house. The house is worth $500,000 today, and they've paid off about $100,000. So in essence, I have almost $500,000 in that I can leverage with this bank to borrow money to buy Bitcoin. So you take that collateral, he gets the money, he buys Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin starts to steadily rise and goes and explodes again in a bull market, and they make a ton of money, they make millions and millions of dollars, all is good, all is fine. The problem is if they go bust, they lose. The Bitcoin drops. They lose money. They have no way of paying back the interest on the loan that they took to buy the Bitcoin. That's when things get a little bit crazy, because then they start doing some crazy dealings. They'll start trying to take the collateral that you hold, even though you're making your payments, and it just gets really messy and crazy. That's rehypothecation. Basically, it's rediverting collaterals to pay off the debts of other moves. And that's what happened in the crypto game with a few of those unnamed centralized exchanges. They lost people's deposits because they were in the back, unbeknownst to everybody. They were doing deals and trades with using users' funds as collateral, and they got wrecked and they lost. So then they froze everybody's stuff and then said, we're out of here. We're going bankrupt. We're not giving anybody their deposits back. And then, of course, they're taking your deposits, your crypto assets that they hold, because you don't hold them. They hold them on their platform, and they're redistributing to either their executives, whoever. They can send it to whoever they want. They can put it in a fund. They can pay back the people they owe money to. They can say screw everybody and run off with the money. And everybody's got to do this expensive legal dance in courts across the world to try to get their money back, even though it might be gone. So that's the problem with rehypothecation, and why it's not good. You want to not do that. You want to not even have the ability to do that, honestly. But I don't know if that's even possible. But we will, hold projects accountable, and hopefully we will never have to deal with crazy things like that. But in order to maintain and make sure that you don't go through crazy things like that, keep your crypto in a hardware protected wallet such as Ledger, self-custody, like MetaMask, Giro, things like that. And just avoid smart contracts. Don't tie everything up in smart contracts, because you could get exploited that way. So just be careful with the smart contracts that you use and what wallets you use. I tend to have a smart contract wallet that's separate from like my savings, so to speak, wallets. So I'm not doing smart contracts with those wallets. I'm only sending tokens there, sending tokens from there. I'm not connecting it to protocols and signing contracts, because you never know. So that's one thing that I do or try to do with my assets. As is often the case, hold on. Nope. The key to ensuring is written into the smart contracts that allow Paribus to operate automatically. In more centralized systems, loans and liquidity are approved by individuals, which then gives them control over users' funds. A central tenet of Paribus is decentralization, which we see as a key to scalability. This point is illustrated by Wilson, our COO. Smart contracts are at the core of everything projects do in DeFi. While we have created a number of use cases for this technology, there will be many more ways in which they are incorporated into the everyday lives of millions of people around the world. Creating a permissionless and trustless system is fundamental to create a new monetary system that isn't reliant on centralized entities like America is right now. As is often the case, centralized systems have single points of failure that expose platforms to risk. Sometimes it's a lone individual that can bring down a huge financial institution, such as Nick Gleason, causing the collapse in Barings in Britain's oldest bank in the 1990s. At other times, it can be a DAO acting as a single joint of failure by voting in favor of a calamitous decision. Just as we're in the very early days of crypto, we're even in the earlier days of DAOs and discovering the best ways to create one that functions effectively and successfully takes a lot of time and thought. Simon, our CTO, describes some of the aspects we're looking at with regard to this. Paribus will eventually become a DAO. While the community will have a very large amount of control over the project at a certain point, there will still be limitations that are coded in to avoid the collapse of the protocol. We are still in the process of determining how that will work, but deciding to control another person's wallet without their permission isn't something that I feel should be acceptable. And I feel the same way. That's bogus. Just as code is law, laws are subject to change as societies grow and adapt. It's therefore important to understand that there needs to be some flexibility to allow for future iterations. The question is how best to approach that in a realistic manner. Dennis explains, the term code is law is true, but isn't the be-all and end-all. It is similar to the founding documents of a country, such as the Constitution. These are laws that are fundamental rules of the system, but if a majority decides to adjust laws that are no longer applicable, and I believe the system is adapting in a healthy way, we will take a similar approach to Paribus. Interesting. It's often said that the rate of development within the crypto space is far faster than any other technology. As the capabilities of the system and the platforms evolve, there's also a need for the evolution of its philosophical and ethical applications. The growing pains that we're experiencing through this bear market are bound to usher in a new wave of growth and development. A significant aspect of that growth will be making an environment safer and lowering the barrier to entry so we can move closer to mass adoption. As Simon explains, there are a lot of exciting developments on the horizon for smart contracts. Cardano will give the ability for non-technical people to create smart contract transactions. Lowering the barrier to use the technology for common monetary transactions will increase the adoption of smart contracts, and in doing so will promote the adoption of cryptocurrencies. Very good article. Didn't go into super detail, just use some kind of, some connections to the U.S. Constitution, but it didn't really get super deep. We didn't talk about like the basis, sort of like how the Bill of Rights. These things are what it is. These will never change. Type of DAO movement. Right now, it's kind of a free for all based on what the programmer wants, but the power. It sounds really nice. It sounds really good, but it's not 100% right now. So I am glad that Paribus is waiting on the DAO thing, because what if we all have it wrong right now? What if something new comes along next year even? What about those things? So I think we really need open dialogue. We probably should push for what they're thinking, what they're planning when it comes to the DAO code, what weights will look like, all that kind of thing, and what it will take for change, because we've seen some shady stuff especially with Luna. I've been witnessing DAO voting with different projects and the way they do it. So very, very interesting times coming for us all with the DAO technology. So thank you again for checking out the channel. Make sure you hit that like, hit that share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.